हनुमान उलियां का सुरेश
ये खाली करो दे
आप अदे ना सुरेश लेटर मस्त आओ
आ जाओ आराम देखो जस्ट अंडर
नया होता है ऊपर पानी अभी नया It's a COVID ward. So यहाँ पे बंद है क्या? वहाँ कुंडी लगी हुई है।
हैं? पकड़ ले वहाँ जाओ तो वहाँ पर 4 बजे पानी आ जाएगा तो जाओ। हाँ जाओ जाओ वहाँ पर जो लेडीज निकला था जाओ 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 कपड़ा जो कपड़ा लेके मेरे को जाओ कपड़ा किसने है ले लो जाओ जाओ वहीं पर मैं आया जाओ ना
तो मग तो दीजिए ना ही कुछ
You want to shout? I can wake everybody up and fuck your brain completely. This is 4th floor. Let me rape you on the 3rd. You want to try? Then I'll make you forget your own little mantra that you cannot see forward over. Alright? And I'll leave you in such a drastic reality that none of the men would feel like reminding you that they were addicted. That goes on to be a pussy every time it replies to you without wanting to expect to look her aside to side over the catwalk. Nine minutes. This is 3rd floor. So, hi guys, we are in Vaishno Devi, and this is one of the dormitories that is currently a COVID ward. Okay, the shortage of the water is as drastic as you'd expect any of the government hospitals to not be, barren during extreme infection. That's one. Second, keeping faith in the highest as a positive, since we're at a shrine. I'd only remind what I heard somebody blatantly expecting an aggressive helping handover, which was the addressal of this notion or this reality as pure harassment. Now, what do I say? Why do I say it's harassment? Because A, free food. Free food for the ones who are greedy, lust-stricken, and extremely uncivilized. Extremely dirty. No basic sense of how to be clean. This is just the inside of one of the dormitories. This is the 1st floor. There are 4 floors on this in this entire building, and if you go forward with watching yourself on any of those floors, you'll, regardless of whatever the time it might be of the year, since it's a financial year, and we go on to be believing. I think more of the army men located here and using this space against the kind of terror attacks we have, or the warnings or the predictions also that we're getting about the country. these civilians who've got nothing to do with the temple have, pardon me, but you know, zero accountability to any of the donations they wish to put forward to. I shouldn't even expect and mention money or it, but the free food that these shrine boards have, helplessly turned into, the donation and whatever, I think they should be put down. They should be broadcasted as, a psychological warfare. That's been maybe put up by, I don't know, whoever for that matter, for the sake of escape and, those predictions that have been, I don't know, that have been holding up a lot. To escape terrorism and expect black magic practitioners in the shrine. Let me take you upstairs. Conducting hijacking amygdalas and conducting psychological warfare. Now, when I say psychological warfare, I talk about behavioral traits, psyche manipulation, and extreme sexism, misogyny, and everything that you could probably call up to bind an entire community or, a band of people into one spot and create frenzy, panic, anxiety attacks, and hold up like a hostage in front of, right in the face and the eyes of the woke energies that these shrine boards basically have, to show how the priests also that are sitting inside are so much hacked that if you are a woke person and if you can understand because of your psychic abilities the inner consciousness, or if you can hear the inner consciousness, which is basically somebody talking something, but you can also read the inertia within. And when I talk about inertia, I talk about the innate reality, which is complete selfish conscience. So if you can hear that, you'll read a lot about how much one can, not rely on these shrine boards for for expecting to, read, I wouldn't say read, but like serve the purpose of being a shrine than nothing but another, base camp kind of a thing for such a huge mass to be under the scrutiny of something that is as wrong as, I wouldn't say naming it, but as wrong as expecting it to be bigger than the actuality of the shrine. So when I say that there is a group of, there's an entire nexus of terrorists that are, there's an entire group of, yes, non-Hindus, you call them priestly scammers, who have been, when I say hijacking the amygdala, then come down to such shrine boards hog, free food, puke abuses at the Hindu statues inside the shrines, pretend to be saintly but go on to be extremely R-rated, and treat these places with such a defilement as a nature that one can, just as we say that, if you look at something ugly, you don't have to really, read the consciousness inside. You can see that ugly, the inner ugly, right on their face. Henceforth, the ones that I'm talking about are so hideous and so small that they are constantly dementiated. And to remain static in front of the actual faith, they have to recite some black magic mantra, and you'll find them hijacked, just as if you go to Balaji and see many people sitting outside the shrine, all bewitched, all caught up. That's basically your energy hijacking, right? So, keeping that in mind, this place, in terms of water, in terms of food, in terms of electricity power, in terms of expecting more and more as a harassed and being in the name of glorification and celebration and yeah, 24/7 regulation of food and etc. and money or whatever, that everything that basically takes up to run this place be coming in all the time, no matter the entire subject be as passe as you can expect it to be, remains to be as much of an aggression as possible, because at the end of the day, who is who's expecting what, how much is expected from whom, and what more will it take, regardless the checkpoints that you have here. Nobody can actually come through over the actuality of this, of the future here. It was once a meditation center. There was once such a great sense of wisdom, and there was such a great sense of upliftment in just 5 minutes of the silence found there, that it would stay with you for births. People did mean, future representations of the wisdom carried from this place. People did understand what the past karma would be. People did believe in being awoke. But today, if you come here and try finding a soul that does not go on to advocate life without an imposter syndrome, being acknowledged and addressed as a huge sense of PR, or a great sense of advocacy of, what do we call that, ethics, ethical values, and clean living or cleansed spirit and all of that, everything that you expect still remains to be, no matter the entire, what do you say? No matter the entire, how do we say? Like the entire thing, like where we, where so the three pindis where we're praying the forms of three goddesses, right? So all of that basically turned into nothing but a show by the priest inside, by the people outside, and the kind of disgrace in the name of business the entire place is, and the amount of toxicity people have been carrying up their head, on their faces, in their eyes, in their gestures, is unmatchable to what we call, what do we call that? An unaddressed form of schizophrenia that we find in the cities, in the corporate communities, and in those sects that are so low key, so low grade, and almost like such untouchable because of their karmas and the thought process that their karmas are also not required to be seen anywhere. No matter the investment they do in the name of PR, their existence remains to be as small as a tumor, that cancer cell that never gets detected and leaves a person on the last stage. It's that kind of a degradation. Keeping all of this in my mind, I just want to remind you that today it's not just about the Hindu faith, or it's not just about any particular faith. I just want to say that wherever on the planet there is a belief about a goddess being worshipped or a male figure being worshipped, and I just want to say that it's a written fact, as always, that since the fall of the consciousness, the entire life has been nothing but a PR to explain why not being able to confess the reality and understand the science or the logic behind faith, to live that faith, is the curse in the name of nature bestowed by the very grace that commands extreme silence than any kind of interruption, disruption by anything or anyone that remains the anchor of every kind of disgrace and every kind of sin because of its face unaccepted in the normal, for being abnormally hideous as an appearance for any eye, be it a middle age, be it a young age, or be it an elder age. Nothing but a form of gangrene that shouldn't be exposed to normal human eye. This entire thing remains to be very much today the curse on every faith and religion that dares to show sympathy, empathy, ignorance, or pity to any form of life that goes on to be nothing but an energy-nibbling, mentally ill, visibly degraded, and extremely decaying sense of life that only expects nothing but a vengeance for being made a karmic consequence for pure show to people that go on to ignore the actuality of what life should be than what life is, and why expecting or desiring than living and believing is the biggest sin. Post realizing the paranormal consequence of trying to be something by ignoring the actuality and becoming a baggage. Meaning, it's a humble request, rather it's an aggressive command who's maybe on the last stage of life, if at all this helps in any manner. That any kind of donation that basically comes to this place, the Vaishno Shrine at the moment, should be taken into consideration of the fact that this place is being prepped or being prepared to turn into a COVID ward where such black magic practitioners sit that you've no idea that the amount of 3 fucks that I've found in my life are so degraded by the powers that no more remain in the temple than watching in ounces from the sky so aggressively. They remain so hijacked so aggressively that taking in and out to not have this entire place just because goddesses are, just because a female deity is, a female form of power is basically the feminine power, the feminine side of life is basically worshipped there to remain as much of a priority as possible in the name of ladies first. To not have this entire place turn into what Balaji is a victim to at the moment. Now Balaji as a victim is taken as much like, oh my god, it's an ego trip for me, any kind of man, right? But if you actually go over there, the kind of aggression that remains over there, if the actuality of this shrine is unleashed, where people who've seen and people who've felt and people who've lived the harassment, which has been completely one-sided at the moment, thankfully, because if I expose the other side is way, way violent, if it goes on to be. So if I expose the other side, which is basically beyond the far cry, which is like an urgent need right now to stop the to and fro or the belief in coming and eating for free than being able to keep the space of itself clean in order to have a chill scene over here and have this entire thing be running 24/7, 365 days, needs a rest, and that's an actuality. I have experienced such a kind of degradation in spite of this place because of discovering almost every authority, especially the ones who sit there in the Vaishno Shrine and chant mantras. I've heard them abusing, I've heard them ignoring, and I've heard them expecting in such manners the ugly out of the ones that do in a closeted manner black magic, and then to pick up the pindis or to inflict or to hijack through black magic the amygdalas of the priests sitting inside, that their degree and intensity of misogyny, sexism is so high that they have no fucking brain over what it takes to put all of it down in a minute and understand how the actuality or probably the natural resources that are there on the scarcity and the noise pollution and the unsanitized spaces, no matter how much they enslave somebody in a day or so. I don't care. I don't even want to talk about the lower grounds of the shrine. But the amount of dirt that you have here, you cannot expect a white soul, moving around unless it's worshipped inside the shrine. That's my problem. That's one. Second, henceforth, when I say thinking of donations and stuff, please be as woke as you can about the shrine, about the priests that sit in, and about almost everybody in the name of authority. Question them of who's handling what, until when, and what's the proof of it. Can you put it online and all of that? As a responsible citizen, to not have this entire place also being shamelessly silent over the fact that it's a shrine and anybody is coming in, so they have no other option but to cater them with food than ask them to be themselves. And when you talk to men over here, when you talk to any fucking Tom, Dick and Harry about what is today, tomorrow and day after, you'll only find them like a fucking like a baboon, like a fucking brainless baboon, going on to be reciting the catchphrase in and out as if there is no other way to explain or why they are standing here for free food or free donation or whatever the fuck for that matter. And I'm really sorry, I'm so pissed off at the moment that I can't explain you what my condition is, yet I am dragged by somebody who should have been with their life, who should have been through with their lives years back, only because they attempted something that they cannot even confess to their own freaking soul if there was truth-seeking mirror in front of them. That's why everything that I've experienced over these years with this shrine and many shrines that go on to be that beg to be some kind of a reflection is nothing but pure black magic. Okay? You can expect, of course, you have no other option but to keep the highest of your head and kind of faith that nothing will touch you. But when I know things have touched you, you have no idea how ignorant, blind, I won't say ignorant, but how blind and helplessly blind the Pindis are. Okay? There is a and when I say Pindis are blind, I am saying that they are under threat. Okay? And it's not about, it's because of the food politics that we have. And when I talk about food politics, I talk about veg and non-veg, because there is nothing else that India understands. So when we talk about food politics, veg, non-veg, it is not about that. It is something, it's an actual fact that people are being forced to understand the consequence of gluttony, and over ignoring the consequence of gluttony, they have pressurized the entire country or the entire planet towards extreme lethal form of shame, which are so many somatic and psychosomatic illnesses that some kind of a pollution or some kind of a brain numbing or nerve numbing, what do you call that? Brain or nerve numbing, sense of life or sense of living has to be shoved up many psyches to make them completely be dementia hit over the basics and have their helpless and powerless over the high elevated because of the breath work that they have to go through during transitions of this psychological warfare, go on to be, what do you say, subject to extreme sedation and remain as much whatever then you put in forward. A subject to misogyny, sexism, any kind of violence, unpredicted accidents, unpredicted behavior symptoms, whatever you want to call it. So, and I'm talking about such degraded sense of life. I mean, the places are stenchful. You should be thankful. People should be thankful that sky is something that you can feel little less vacuumed under over. But otherwise, if you ever come to the shrine and try meditating, you cannot meditate. There's so much of noise pollution. There's extreme sense of noise pollution. Then this entire freaking place from head to toe stinks of horse shit. Then you find the horses down there. The horses are in a bad condition. They're in such a condition you can cry with them for an hour and they wouldn't even move from their space. That stunned over receiving an actual form of warmth. Then the lower grounds of the shrine are so fucking dirty. They're so dirty you cannot believe the open pools that are meant to be worshipped with clean water, with clean space, with clean souls, with cleansed hearts, are nothing but a fat pool of people that haven't been to the loo for hours in a day. I don't want to go on to be explaining what's been burning the hair up my nose, but I have never lived such a degraded, poverty-stricken life in my entire birth ever, to have gone completely rogue about how ugly the shrine has become. I remember I've only visited this shrine thrice in my life. When I was a little child, almost like a toddler. Then 3 years back, when I had a random dream and I had a little panic fucking attack. And over the panic attack, I thought I'll come here and I'll speak to the woman. I'm talking about Vaishno Mata. She was too much in my head, and I'm a very degraded soul for that matter. I don't even care about who's daring to call me. But that freaking dream was so much, I was like, the heck's going on? And I came here and I spoke to her and she said, I loved you. And I'm like, oh my God, woman. You should have said the same thing with love back at home and I would have believed it. But then whatever, I just enjoyed it. Because I was all alone, there was nobody on me, on my back and so, and it was a quick trip. And I didn't have to wait anywhere or go to any kind of dormitory or sleep. So I was free of all the stench that I had around me, and I did not even notice that she was actually seeking for help. And now it's been after 3 years that I've visited her again, and I showed you the dormitory. Then I haven't tasted the food. Pardon me, I'm too small at the moment because of my condition to even talk about free food. But I went into the shrine up there in the Bhavan, and I was obviously in the lower grounds as well. There's so much. There are no fruits on the trees. There are no colors on the trees. There is no space that smells like the trees that look. I'm talking about the rare trees that you'd find only on the higher mountains. By mistake, grown on the lower grounds. You can't even smell them because it's all horse shit all around. There's scarcity of water. They have to freaking cut the water supply to keep this entire freaking mass coming in from I don't know where from. At a fucking bay. I'm cussing. I'm sorry about it. I'm not trying to downsize anybody. I have no one to. But I'm angry. So, keeping faith in the highest, I just want to request everybody that whoever is sending good amount of donations in good faith, please speak to the authorities. I will take up the responsibility from my end, of course, even if I am jobless, not jobless, I don't care, even if I am on the at the last stage of my life, I'll do it because I have no other option. Because I've seen her crying, no matter the power she might be, but I've seen her crying and I don't like it. So I'm gonna speak about everything, my empty pockets, to not being able to help her, even as a private, if at all, or whatever she basically asks for. From the lower grounds until the highest, there are no fruits, there are no flowers, there are no colors, there's no there's no scent of the grass. There is no faith in people. There's only pain in people. There's only pain in the eyes of the people. There's only pain in the spine of the people. People are not happy. People are dragged. People are forced to come and worship. People are not happy, and it reflects in our eyes. And the way it reflects in the priests as well, I don't feel like touching any pandit's feet here. I don't feel like looking into their eyes and daring to probably even, sit down and talk. I can't. The amount of aggression they might have, I know how much of a stroke it can be to my third eye. So keeping all of that in the head, I'm going to speak the authorities. You're also, whoever puts down the complete faith in God and keeping the spirits of the gods at the highest. I would just only want to request everybody who puts in whatever little money, think of the animals. There's a lot of animal abuse as well that we have to, breathe in. There's a lot of, no matter the amount of love they have to show against their size, at the end of the day, it all, comes into the heart, the silence that everybody cannot speak, because at the end of the day, she's a mother, right? We say Vaishno Mata, so Mataji is a mother. So when you talk about a mother's pain, it kind of freaking disturbs the entirety within the self as well, which I've learned through a very hard lesson, and I still don't care because I know my mother. But apart from that, I'm saying that the other side of the power in the name of a mother that I've felt, I'm really thankful that I'm alive today. So keeping that as the highest form, I'd only, request everybody, to whoever turns up to the shrine, make sure you're taking care of yourself entirely by yourself. Do not litter the place, for fuck's sake. Do not dare think of littering the space. Do not call yourself a human if you cannot keep your body clean. This place is not for the ones who don't deserve any form of faith or spirit as a grace in their pocket. Okay? This place is not a community hall or a center to come have a drag with your friends in the name of whatever kind of lifestyle you might have for free food or over free food or a little bit of a noise pollution. If you want to say Jai Mata Di, you need to understand what silence means over before and after Jai Mata Di, right? That's one. Second, for fuck's sake, learn respecting water. If you don't understand the meaning of water, remember every drop in the cave, regardless of the propaganda, it should be to explain the value of water, holds a form of energy that if at all you meditate over, you don't know for how many births can you kill entirely the in and out, every sense of illness that anybody would have thought around you or about you. Okay? I'm in a condition I cannot sit down here. But I'm talking about the ones who actually need such places. This is not a vacation or holiday space. This is not a place where people should come in and think of black magic. Think of, or getting free of black magic, that's a different thing. I'm sorry. I have to talk about something as small as black magic. But I'm talking about all those soldiers, who... I'm talking about the soldiers, I'm talking about those saints, I'm talking about those travelers, the spiritual travelers, who walk miles and miles looking for a space that will let them believe that every inch or every breath or every prana or every mile that they covered thinking of being alive did actually have a meaning. And a good long sleep over here without any food, or probably, just 4 grains or 3 grains of wheat or rice is enough for them to believe that they've connected and they hold the same amount of wavelength to heal, to be therapeutic, and to remain as connected to the ever-growing and ever-fast pace of the planet that always requires somebody to remain as static as itself, to believe how to hold on to the psychologies in extreme and utmost positivities and delusions that can kill people. Therefore, one more time, a last request. Whoever turns up to the shrine, please be very limited in number. Please be extremely crucial, so crucial that just your faith can carry an entire year for your entirety, no matter the head count back wherever you've kept them, to be as effective as one person taking a trip to the shrine and expecting such a huge grace, such a huge, such a huge amount of love that it remains like a helix for at least 10,000 years, over 1 year of an expectation. Alright? So keep yourselves upright about what spirits are when we talk about high-headed spirits, or when we talk about the forms of goddesses. Also, these days, in the entire planet, there's a lot of, in the name of psychological warfare, there are a lot of delusions that have been killing the principles of faith, the ethical values to a religion, and the psychological factors about a brain that can turn traumatic, that can turn an entire generational trauma into an actual looking tumor in the pupil, which is as calcified, which is as, as ineffective to a human value as the third eye calcified. So, keeping that in the head, kindly, beyond believing that it's just to PR, the place has been, whatever, yeah, babe. I mean, I do believe in all of that, but I'd rather be, seeking silence somewhere and all of that. I support extreme isolation. I support solitude. I support, meditation spots that don't even hold an accountability over even a single lizard or a rat or a bird roaming around. I support all of that. I've been myself a devotee of, self-consciousness or conscience. But beyond all of that, sometimes taking up the responsibility as a civilized to such shrines, coming once in a blue moon and realizing what's been going on to your own money in the name of taxes to such a spiritual sense by the ones who don't know what spirit is. It is very important to remind the authorities that, there is a reason people run industries, and there is a reason cleansing is where godliness is. And if a space stinks, that means the gods hate being called gods over there than the slaves who should have been holding nothing but probably tissues in their hand and picking up human turd lying in the corner, or the entire road turned extreme yellow for the naked feet because of the horse pee, piss and the horse shit, turning nothing but into a gangrene and, accustoming people or adjusting people to the stench of the shit all around. It might sound like, hey, this happens, yeah, I mean, it's a regular business, it's very busy, people don't have time for this and all of that. there'll be rain, they'll wash it away and all of that. Fine, I got it. But the way the air is, you cannot meditate. Come sit on the hilltop. You'll have no other option but to look at. The moment you start going down, the energies will kill you. The energies will kill you in such a manner that you'll have no other option but to drop everything in your hand, pick up a packet, and clean the entire space and remain there until it's done. It is that groggy. So yes, that's all I have to say. Reminding the authorities to keeping the black magic practitioners away, and to find them, it's very easy. They're loud than required. They are extremely dirty. They care. They're extremely dirty in and out. They don't sound human. Their voice quality is so degraded that you can only expect to close your eyes and ears, expecting you will not become them. And third, if I was to be a little forward on myself, I'm sorry, not forward, but a little myself, and the only thing that I cannot get my eyes over, in spite of finding it to be a feminine shrine, like a shrine that holds the femininity, a feminism or whatever you want to call it, man, I'm tired of it. The highest, to be sexist, misogynistic, and I don't know, helplessly buried. So yeah, that's all I have to say. This is Vaishno Shrine, Vaishno Mata's Mandir, and it's very, very, very much under pressure and of slaves to come. I won't say slaves, but like volunteers. Let's say volunteers. Volunteers are people who actually believe in gods and who actually are gods. This is almost like a request for the gods to come back, become a little grace to the space, and hold everybody back into silence and remind them that it takes nothing to clean themselves. And when I say themselves, then everywhere that they look and wish to ignore is themselves. Right? Take care.